Welcome back, everybody, to Goody and Johnny Mo at the movies. Tonight, we're doing episode 44.
44.
We're doing...
44.
We are doing Godzilla versus Kong. The movie that just came out from Warner Brothers.
The latest movie in the monster universe.
The latest movie in the monster universe. They keep pushing along from the 2014 Godzilla film.
But before we get into that, what are we drinking?
What are we drinking?
Well,
you were sticking with a staple recently.
Yeah, so I am still on my Murphy's Irish Stout kick, and I'm really enjoying it, but I promise you, next episode, I will be drinking something other than this and other than Big Bourbon. You know, so,
please, give us a variety.
I got to give you a little bit of variety.
I am doing a Sam Adams Porch Rocker. This is a seasonal beer that just came back out. I have been drinking this for the last few years. I love it. It's one of my favorite seasonals of the entire year. I'm so glad they have it out this early. I feel like for some time it usually comes out a little bit later than this. Glad they have it. I will be buying a lot of it from now till it's done.
Sweet.
Cheers. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hope you grab a drink and drink with us. We don't want to drink alone. We want to drink with you guys. Have a nice drink. Respond. Let us know what you think.
That was a healthy
start right there. Woo. All right. So
I'll be refilling that a little later on.
we have in this film something a little different than some of the previous movies. So you have in the monster universe started with Godzilla from 2014. Then we had Kong Skull Island. Mm-hmm. Then we had Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Right.
And now we have Godzilla
versus Kong. So oddly enough, I think a lot of people were hoping this type of movie was coming out because at the end of the day, a lot of these movies are just new incarnations of previous monsters that we've seen in the past. Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, Ghidorah, all that stuff. And back in the day, there was a Japanese monster movie, King Kong vs. Godzilla. King Kong got in, back in probably in the 50s or the 60s, whenever it was. Probably in the 60s. In the 60s, they pulled King Kong into the Japanese monster universe because King Kong was an American movie originally from the 30s. There was a sequel, Son of Kong, and that was the end. And then all of a sudden, somehow they figured out a way to get King Kong in the Japanese movies. And there was actually two movies with King Kong. The first one was King Kong vs. Godzilla, and the other one was King Kong Escapes, where he fought a robot Kong, which is kind of cool. Now granted, both of those movies I grew up as a kid watching, but those were the American versions that were dubbed. I've actually never seen the original Japanese versions of either of those two films, and I'm very much looking forward to it because at the end of the day, almost all of the Japanese versions of the films are superior to the American dubbed versions. They're usually longer. They have a little bit more character development. The dialogue is usually better. Plus hearing it in the original tongue,
right,
is always better. It's just better. You get better inflection, better tone. But yeah, and I don't have too many comparisons to the original movie,
right?
Except that in the original movie, King Kong fights Godzilla, and there is a scene where Kong is in both movies. I'm pretty sure it's in King Kong vs. Godzilla, where Kong is being transported by helicopter. So I think that was like,
so a little
homage to the original. And I'm pretty sure that was in King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Well, by the way, spoilers. If you haven't known by now, if you haven't watched this before, all we do is talk spoilers in our reviews.
Spoilers.
And again, these are long-form reviews. They're not the short 5 to 10-minute movie review.
We bounce all over the place.
We go from point to point, and it kind of, sometimes we end up...
Point A to point Q to point B.
Which usually takes us anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Who knows? Depending how much we talk about the film. Doesn't mean how much we like the film.
Yeah.
It just means that there's a lot to say.
A lot to say.
So I find that these films, and John and I were talking about this when we saw this movie in the movie theater, which we went to the movie theater.
Yeah, we did. We saw it in the theater. When did we see it? Last Friday night.
Friday night.
You got to email those details. I got to add it to my log.
So we went to the movie theater. Again, this time we saw it at Stony Brook Lowe's. John and I both live on Long Island, so
AMC, Lowe's?
we saw. Is it? No, is it AMC? No, I think AMC. I think are they the same?
Maybe it's the same.
I don't know, but anyway, we went to the movie theater. They did a great job again, trying to keep everyone safe, keeping everybody spaced out as much as they can. It's just nice to be back in the theater a little bit to see a film, because that's really the best experience.
Way, yeah.
You know, HBO. Again, this is an HBO Max Warner Brothers film, so you can watch this on HBO Max right now for a certain amount of time before they cut that off, and then you can only watch it in the theater. They are doing that with just about, again, all of their films for 2021, before changing back to the old ways for 2022. And the one key aspect in these monster films is, how do you balance the monster themselves, right? That the kaijus, which everybody wants to see, with the human story.
Right.
Because there's only so much you care about the monsters, but you also want to care about the people and how it's going to affect them.
Yeah.
And in the four films that we've seen, I don't... The best one that I thought that did this well, that had a good balance to it, was the first Godzilla film from 2014.
Yeah.
I don't think we saw any of that in Godzilla. I'm sorry, in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and the Kong Skull Island one, mixed of that one.
I mean,
as well.
at the end of the day, most of these movies, all the human characters they're basic, they're cardboard cutouts, they're stereotypes, they're caricatures. They don't really seem real. Most of the plot points and the emotions or the plot points that they're pivoting off of and bouncing off, they all seem contrived and just thrown together, real fast. And at the end of the day, the only movie that was perfect in that respect was the original Godzilla movie from the 50s. The very first Japanese Godzilla movie has the best human story out of all of them, has one of the best monster stories out of all of them, both in the same movie. And at the end of the day, keep in mind, that was a groundbreaking film. Nobody had really done anything like that before. Even though they were trying to emulate a lot of the science fiction movies from the 50s, a lot of those really popular science fiction movies from the 50s and that were coming out in the U.S., it was, you had the white male scientist and, the female assistant. And these were, it was the same characters in every film, just played by different actors. It was the same, plot devices, and it was a shame. But the Godzilla movie, the original Godzilla movie, actually was a much more step up from the average American film. There were some films that were really, really good from that time period. Probably some of the early ones. It's all the copycats that were not
after
good.
right.
But from that point on, in the Japanese monster franchises, the human stories became less and less
important,
less important, because it was more about
everyone's coming to see the monsters.
The monsters. Listen, and the cat, the cash grab is the monsters.
At the end of the day, you hear a movie, Kong vs. Godzilla, what you're going to see.
Yeah, you're going to see two monsters duking it out.
You're going to watch these guys. But they have to somehow tie in a human element to that and how those humans are affected. Because otherwise, why the heck do you care?
Yeah,
and maybe you don't.
Then it's just like watching a wrestling match, between two big guys.
And not that there's anything wrong with that. You could go to the film just wanting to see a great fight between two titans.
Total escapist cinema.
Absolutely, and that's perfectly fine. I myself like a little human story in there, so I want to see how these people are affected, why it's important to them to either want the creature to live or die. Mm-hmm. This film I didn't think was that bad in that regard.
No, it wasn't. But and this is something that I told Chris. I said, when they're making this type of movie, it's so many of these movies today. They're following a formula, and the formula doesn't really allow for the intense type of serious characterizations that you're going to find in a regular drama. Because the people that are putting this money up, they're not trying to attract the people that want to see a love story or a drama. They're trying to attract people that want to see monster movies. And I would imagine that if any point in time, somebody tried to really, overpower the story with really in-depth human elements, someone's going to say, wait a second, we're not making that type of movie. This is not the movie we're making. We're making, Godzilla versus Kong, and we just need these people there. And we're spending our budget on the monsters and the special effects and all that. And it would be a shame though, because if somebody really did something great in that respect, and that's why most of these movies will almost never get more than 3 stars, because they're not
the focus isn't on that.
They're not trying to make great films. It's like in the Olympics. There's like when people do like certain dives off the high diving board. There's certain dives at the highest. There's really complex dives that you could get a 10 on or whatever, the max amount of points. But there's certain dives that are very basic, and the top score you can get is less than what the potential is there.
Right.
And that's what these movies are. These movies can only go as far as like 3 stars because they're incapable of, the formula isn't allowed to be anything better than
Well, I mean, the heart of the story is
a shame.
You're not in this film. There really isn't a love story, so to speak. It's basically the relationship between a mother and her adopted daughter, and the daughter just has this incredible connection with Kong. And then you have a father and daughter that have kind of been, almost like separated or misplaced, and their connection to Godzilla. And of course, that's we're talking about Kyle Chandler and Millie Bobby Brown, who are one of the only repeat characters in any of these films that are coming back from Kong, King of the Monsters. And they had such pivotal roles in that previous film that they come into this to have some type of continuity. But it's just really the fact that you're watching those characters and you're trying, the Warner Brothers and the directors, they're trying to make you care about these people and how they're each affected by different monsters, because you got the one side that's really caring about Kong so much, and then you got Millie Bobby Brown and her little crew that she's got, and she's trying to basically prove that Godzilla isn't the evil one. Like something irritated him, something set him off. He didn't just attack for no reason,
right?
Which is what the movie kind of makes you believe in the beginning, but there's more to it, and now we get to some of the fun conveniences in this movie.
Well, before we, just to harken back, like when I said, people don't, take chances with these types of films, but there are other movie genres where people have taken those chances and they succeeded. So, for example, like Joker didn't follow the formula.
That's correct.
And it all of a sudden it's a DC movie. It's a supervillain, or it's not a superhero movie, it's a supervillain movie, but it's a comic book character movie. All of a sudden they take a big gamble, go a different approach, put in elements that you would never see in any of these other types of movies that are coming out.
They approached
and they made a great film.
They basically didn't make a film about Joker. They made a film about a person who had mental instability.
Yeah.
And what it takes to push that person over the edge.
No, but that character is the Joker.
It is.
Yeah.
But they, like you said, they didn't follow.
They didn't follow the formula.
They're not saying we're going to make a Joker film. We're going to make a film about a guy with mental instability who becomes the Joker.
Right. And they totally pulled in all these, and that's kind of what you hope one day to find in one of these types of monster movies, is that all of a sudden somebody switches gears, takes a chance, does something different, and blows you away, and you're like, oh my God. Because not for nothing, there are people that are trying, Joker made so much money.
Made over $1 billion.
So much money. That there are people that are sitting there going like, I don't know how we duplicate that success, but we got to try it.
Oh, there are executives that are looking to because the budget on that film wasn't that much money.
Right.
And they made a huge profit on it.
So even though following the formula is gonna, is a surefire way to get money, all of a sudden breaking away from the formula and doing it right, all of a sudden maybe an opportunity.
But that's if you do it right.
To make even more.
But that's if you do it right.
And that's what I'm hoping somebody will do it one of these monster
You do it
movies.
wrong and you're going off the cliff.
Right. Like I said, you're taking a chance, but you gotta, like if somebody does one of these monster movies that's slightly, and goes on a different route and it works, all of a sudden, maybe you change the formula.
Or maybe you have a Matthew Broderick Godzilla. which we're not here to talk about tonight. We are not here to discuss that film.
Oh, you're bringing back so many. You're bringing back memories that I've suppressed.
So all right, so let's stay with this film.
Yeah.
Because there are some good things to talk about. I will say this.
Okay, so first off,
okay, you go.
Did you
First
enjoy
off,
it?
I enjoyed the film.
I enjoyed the film immensely.
I enjoyed the film.
I don't know that it was that good. I don't know that it was any good, but it was enjoyable.
And the two things are separate.
I think if I had to give it a star rating, I'm fluctuating between a 2 and a 2.5. But and the things that go into that, it is what it is. But the film was still very enjoyable.
Oh, I thought it was enjoyable too.
Because there was enough there going on to not make me so annoyed about the things that didn't work.
Yes.
It made me forget.
Well, there were things that kind of brought you from it. I say this. I don't think the film.
I feel like
dragged.
It was like anesthesia. Like it gave me a shot of anesthesia. We're gonna give you something that feels good. But watch these two monsters fight, and they're gonna have.
Look, you know what? The film didn't drag.
No, it didn't. No,
it didn't drag.
It moved very well.
The monster scenes I thought worked well. I thought the CGI was pretty decent on both of them. I thought all of their fight scenes were really cool.
Well, the CGI was good, but I almost feel like it was too good because so many scenes looked completely computer generated. Not just the monsters,
okay,
but everything around them.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Everything around them. Like, when they were on the boat, when Kong's on the boat and the water splashing up, I'm like, the entire scene.
Well, it's all digital.
Looks digital. There's nothing real in the entire shot except maybe the sky. I don't know. And I was
probably not even that.
And that to me, I want to say it's
not tangible.
To me, it shattered the illusion of film. It made it look. It made it obvious to me that.
Would you have preferred like CG characters on top of like mini sets?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say like what would be the proper balance. But it was just so crisp and so clean and so many details, intricate details going on that never would have happened naturally with the water and stuff like that. You're just looking at it and you're like, whoa, I'm really just watching a completely computer generated scene. And it was obvious that it was, so it took away from the reality that it's trying to impose upon you. It made it look a little unreal to me.
I thought, as far as the fight itself goes, I thought it was very interesting that the first fight basically takes place in Godzilla's territory where we're talking about water. Yeah. And Kong only is able to do something when he's on the aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
But once Godzilla gets him in the water, Kong's done. Like he's no pun intended. He's a fish out of water.
Yeah, because Godzilla, I think, can breathe underwater.
Absolutely, he's a reptile.
Yeah, he's a reptile. Yeah. So and Kong, it can just really much drown. I do want to point out though, in that scene, that there was an enormous amount of loss of life.
Oh, absolutely! All those ships, all the characters.
There was a whole
aircraft carriers.
What do you call that?
There was a fleet.
A fleet of the whole, almost the entire fleet of ships was destroyed.
Yes,
except for the one where the main character.
Exactly.
Thank God, very
convenient.
Very convenient. But you're just watching it. You're going all of a sudden, Godzilla just goes through one of those ships and the whole ship goes up and you're just like, wow, you just lost an entire crew.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and then you lost another entire crew. And you just kept going down the line. Well, there goes another whole entire crew. This is like...
Yeah.
Is this the U.S. Navy? Like the U.S. Navy just lost 10,000 people. It's just like, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
Listen, there was a lot of loss of life in this film. Let's be honest.
Oh my God!
Okay, we're not even talking about the final scene.
Because where does it take place? It's not
Hong Kong.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it was the final battle.
Yeah, it's in Hong Kong. It's not in usually Tokyo.
Tokyo, right.
Place where everything happens.
Which they could have still done that as an homage to the old films.
Yeah.
But they chose Hong Kong instead.
Tokyo might be like, look, we are tired of being the battleground. We're tired of being destroyed.
Pick another city.
We're tired of having to rebuild every freaking 5 years. You know what? Go fight somewhere else. Go to Hong Kong.
and we'll get to Hong Kong because
Yeah.
that was major.
Oh my God! So the conveniences.
Let's go through some of the conveniences,
Oh my God!
shall we?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know that I'm going to remember them all because there were so many.
There were so many.
There's so many. Like and like.
Well, let's
You
start
only
off.
remember
Let's
so
start
much.
off with one of the first ones: the giant elephant in the room. Kong can understand sign language.
Yeah.
That was completely out of the blue.
Yeah, and he's pretty good at it too.
Yeah, because not only does he understand it, he can actually sign himself.
Yeah, and
it's supposed to be from the fact of how many times the mother had been signing, and she just didn't realize he was actually learning the whole time.
right. I mean, I'm assuming Kong is Kong is not
Is
stupid,
intelligent.
but still, I mean, he's still an ape, and he's still.
But they have taught. See, the only thing is because they have taught apes to do sign language.
Yeah.
In reality, so
But
they're
I think,
piggybacking off
but
that
I think,
idea.
I think that took a long time, and I'm pretty sure the vocabulary, like the sign language vocabulary, is probably really small. I almost felt that, Kong could say whatever he wanted to in sign language if he needed to, like anything he wanted to
I
say.
mean, he made
could
it.
say.
He did make it. They did kind of make it basic. It wasn't like he was doing full sentences. It was a lot of stuff like home, and, friend, like whatever he called the girl.
Oh yeah, but there was some conversations in there going back and forth. I need you to go over here, and and
No,
why-
he didn't say that.
No, but
no.
they put all the dialogue underneath, and it's going back and forth.
That was the daughter having the conversation with him,
Right.
and it was just him understanding it.
Right, but like I said, would he be able to understand that much of a vocabulary?
That much. That is a good question.
But,
so that's one of those.
And at the end of the
conveniences.
day, it's like we want the people in this movie want Kong to be able to communicate better. So that's just have him know sign language. He learns sign language. He can understand it, and he can send it back.
It's a whole nother step in the evolution of Kong.
Makes for better
being
makes
able-
makes for better interaction
Yes.
between Kong and
Well, because
and-
look, when you watch Kong Skull Island, that Kong is not doing sign language.
right, he's just fighting monsters. And
He's
doing
just
stuff.
on pure instinct.
And that's what and that's what's with Godzilla. Godzilla's fighting monsters and doing his thing.
Well, he's pure instinct. That's all he
Yeah.
is evolution and instinct. That's
And I think
it.
the reason why this movie was enjoyable was because you had the dynamic of these two strong monster characters. Because
Yeah, these
usually,
two alphas.
because in their own movies, it's everybody is really second fiddle to the main monster, and most of the time they're just fighting no-name people, no-name monsters.
Right.
Just random dinosaur that comes by, this and that. Even though with Godzilla King of the Monsters, you had some decent action going on with Mothra and Rodan. None of those other characters are as strong as Kong. So it's like I always harken it to the Step Brothers phenomenon. It's really hard to watch a John C. Reilly movie with just him. It's really hard to watch a Will Ferrell movie with just him. But you put them together, and the sum is greater than those two parts.
Individual parts.
Those individual parts. It's something magical.
Now that was something that there was not a formula for.
Yeah.
And they made these games.
because I can't stand Will Ferrell movies, and John C. Reilly, like these are characters that like do better when they interact with each other, and that's what made to me this movie so good. Like the King Kong and Godzilla interacting was so much more. Was more than twice as interesting than a King Kong movie and a Godzilla movie. Like the dynamic of them
Or just
together.
the fact that you're having the two of them
Yeah,
together.
and because you don't know who's going to win because they're
Right.
and
they
in
said
the King Kong movie King Kong's winning. In the Godzilla movie, Godzilla's winning.
And they said in this film, they said, I don't know if you had read this or had heard this beforehand, but the people involved in the film said one of the monsters dies in this movie. And that kind of happens.
Does it? Who dies?
Kong. Kong technically dies.
Okay, but they bring him back.
They bring him back.
Okay.
But he technically is like,
He's
cardiac
like,
arrest at that point.
right. Okay. But he doesn't die for good.
No.
Okay.
So another one of the best conveniences is Millie Bobby Brown's character. ends up believing this podcast like conspiracy guy who's like infiltrated this one, like the evil corporation that's in the film.
I don't think he infiltrated.
No, he works
I think
there.
he already worked
He
there.
already worked there.
And he's just a little off.
Yeah.
And he starts doing stuff.
But he just, he keeps going down the rabbit hole further and further. And Millie Bobby Brown kind of like finds him and goes along with him with her friend.
Oh, okay, wait. So we're going to go there. So first off, these are some of the things that really make the movie so stupid. Is it's like, one, the fact that they couldn't catch this guy because he's not a genius or anything. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. So like, and like the company knows that there's this guy.
Because he's basically broadcast. It's almost like he's broadcasting that he works for the company.
Yeah, I know.
That he's involved with them.
Like they gotta the fact that they couldn't find this guy out is ridiculous. So you and this is where it comes down to where it's like
we'll suspend disbelief.
we're gonna let that slide. Yeah. So now they believe this guy, which I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them buying this guy's line, but it's like now they got to find this guy, and the way they find him might be actually the single dumbest thing in the movie.
They didn't stumble upon his door, but they might as well have. Because they basically went to like all these different places.
They came to the conclusion that this guy buys an enormous amount of bleach. So we're like, what city are they in?
I don't know, but it's like the Chinatown area of like wherever they are.
But isn't it like California?
Oh, San Francisco. Is it San Francisco?
But it's a big California city.
Yeah.
So what they can do is they're like, they think this is a foolproof plan. Like we're gonna find him through the bleach, but. They're not going online and finding the person who's leaving a signature. It
was a specific type of bleach that was made by like an Asian. I don't know if it was China or Japan. So they figured that they were going to go into Chinatown and see whoever's importing it and selling it the most. It has to be this guy.
Right. So they just go around to just random places all over the area.
These shops.
And do you know anybody that buys a lot of bleach?
Right.
And eventually
they find this.
They find him. Like, oh yeah, I got this guy. He buys a lot of bleach. Want to know his name?
Yeah. I have his address.
Are you kidding me? It's like if they were doing like a cyber search, like let's find the online bleach sales, like something like that, like
You might have bought that more.
Like I mean, it still made no sense because but this like let's just drive. We're gonna drive around till we find it.
That's right.
It's like. Really? No. Okay. And boom, they get him. And then, now where the guy works is already destroyed, for the most part. It's really, really destroyed by Godzilla.
They go back to the company.
Now, even though he is an employee, at the end of the day, this facility has been severely destroyed. Nobody's going to work unless, they're working in that lower
Well, they
level.
sneak in. He's not going into work.
Yeah, I know, but
he brings them in.
He can't pretend he's going to work.
Right.
Like he's actually breaking into this facility, which is very damaged.
But at this point in time,
which is not abandoned.
No, it's not abandoned. But there's also not a lot of people at the security at this point in time because
no. But you would think they would be securing it. Like they don't want anybody going around there. Like they wouldn't have. They just.
Well, you think there would have been authorities that were like around it? But it is a big facility.
Yeah,
it is very large.
But there's when they go there, it's like there is like almost nobody around. And I'm like, really? They just let anybody walk in? But then you find out that there actually are people working inside, but they're in the lower levels doing highly sensitive stuff.
And the way to get in, by all means, please, let's just go to the security panel, pull it off the wall, and insert something that just shorts out the circuitry, and the doors open up.
Right.
Because that happens.
Yeah. And now they have free reign to go around this whole facility, which is really like a death trap because things are on fire, busted, and walls.
If we could have had some type of setup where we saw the guy do something earlier that he was able to get in these doors and figure out a way to do it, you might have me buy that.
Yeah.
But he's a crazy person doing these podcasts.
Yeah, he's nuts.
And he literally just gets lucky that he just is able to shorten out the circuitry and it opens the door. It doesn't set off an alarm. Right. It opens the door.
So they get into this lower level where
They don't get caught.
Where there's a lot of activity.
A lot of people.
And this is like, whatever they're doing is highly sensitive, high security, really important. They get through all of that, and they sneak onto a transport that just happens to literally be going to Hong Kong via a super tunnel underground. You know,
which is exactly where they need to be
in the next minute or two. It's like they
fast travel.
Like
it's like a bullet train.
Right. One, that they were able to get into it undetected is unbelievable.
And then they just happen to stumble into one of the transports that just takes them.
So now it takes them to Hong Kong. And at the end of the day, this is just one of these things where, look, these guys are in California, and we need them to get to Hong Kong where the monsters are fighting. So, look, I don't care how you do it.
Right.
Just do it.
Figure it out.
And just do it. Don't even, you don't even have to figure it out. Because if figuring it out means you have to figuring it out means let's do something that makes sense. Let's figure this out logically.
No.
There's no logic to it. Just do it. Just get them there. No matter what you do, it's okay because it's a monster movie and nobody cares and they'll just accept it.
And apparently so.
And so but it keeps going. They get there. And now they're able to get out of that transport without being caught.
Right.
And then they manage to get into...
That was the arena.
An arena.
Yes.
A giant display area where they're going to, right then and there, start doing some sort of demonstration.
Where there's a gallery up top of actual humans, operating.
People
and
are there.
looking down into the arena, and they don't see these
and they don't
people
see
there.
them. And there's no detectors saying,
there's people
heat signatures or presences, they're just there. And then they just happen to be there.
And then we have the birth of the name. So we see Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
However, he wasn't referenced as that name at first.
Yeah.
So her friend, which was in Deadpool 2, this guy references...
Somebody says Robot Godzilla.
Right. So this one guy... So it was the podcast guy says, oh my gosh, it's a robot Godzilla. Right? And the kid goes, no, it's Mechagodzilla. Like he knew that's the name.
Well, this is something that's very common in a lot of these Japanese monster movies. Like sometimes, a monster showing up for the first time, and the people in the town will just be like, oh my god, it's Ghidorah. It's like he's got a name and people know what it is, and they were just waiting for him to show up. And it's like, this, to me, I read that scene where this kid is going no, that's Mechagodzilla. I know the correct terminology. It's Mechagodzilla.
But my
he's correcting him.
But my thought on that was that he wasn't correcting him. He was just going with what he thought was a cooler name.
Right.
And I honestly think that just a younger generation is like, nah, Robot Godzilla sounds stupid.
Right.
Mechagodzilla sounds cool.
But it's funny when you see as much of these Japanese monster movies as I have, and I'm telling you, they're fun. But there's so many things that's happened over and over and over again. Brand new monster just shows up out of nowhere, and it's it's got a name, and everybody knows what it is already, and it's just okay. So now they get out of that arena. No, and nobody knows that they even were there or left. And then they finally get caught. I think right after that.
Yeah.
Somebody's finally like, who the hell are you guys?
Right.
And it's just they took the world tour undetected.
And got caught at the very end.
And finally got caught at the very end and still managed to get away. Because at that moment, there was a fight.
Now that's the Godzilla side. Now when you get the Kong side of the story.
Well, but the Mechagodzilla is kind of cool because there's also the whole Mechagodzilla thing. Really harkens to
the King of the Monsters film.
The original Mechagodzillas from the past. The original one was Terror of Mechagodzilla, Godzilla vs. the Cosmic Monster back in the 70s. But then there's a whole other slew of later Japanese films, and I haven't seen any of them. And there's
I thought you meant how he was utilized in this film.
But no, we're going to get there. But because Mechagodzilla has been present in a lot of other films. There's a long history to it. I'm more familiar with the original versions, but there definitely were later versions as well. And in this one, it's really kind of weird because it's like they're using like the psychic connections with the skull of Ghidra.
Yeah, the main,
they're
skull.
drilling into it and like drilling into it, and
they're basically like
and taking like psychic emanation.
Out, yeah, they're drawing out whatever energy that it has or whatever.
Which they probably don't understand, but they're using it anyway.
Right, they're using it,
and somehow they're able to figure out that it's one, that it's there, and two, that they could use it.
Yeah,
and they're using it to like, you know, and
of course, what could go wrong?
Right. And,
right?
and you know what? It's something does go wrong. Like basically, right. Mechagodzilla becomes, I don't know if he becomes self-aware, but he becomes no longer under the control of the people that were controlling him for the scientists. You know, and I'll be honest with you, they don't really explain that very well as to what happened. But my guesstimation is that the spirit of Ghidra was alive
and took over
in that psionic, telepathic thing going on with the skull in some way, and when it was used in Mechagodzilla, it took over.
I agree.
Almost like a spirit.
I think that's kind of what we were led to believe, in that whatever.
And that's very conjectural, because they don't they don't say that.
No,
but they don't say anything else either.
I think they kind of like almost like I don't know if they're leading you to believe that, or is it just you make up your own version of how this happened. But to me, that's the best estimation that I think I have, is that there was some type of electrical incident that occurs, and after that, it basically fries the user.
Yeah.
He gets fried, and basically the Mechagodzilla is just going off of whatever essence was left in the Ghidra skull.
Yeah.
You know, and so that basically is what powers it, and it decides to go after Godzilla.
And the technology in this world is just
so
unbelievable.
Just the so okay, so now if we're going to go towards the King Kong side of this whole thing, so they basically transport Kong to the Antarctic, right? And that the fact that there's this part of the story was that there is a realm towards the center of the Earth.
It's the whole Hollow Earth thing.
Hollow Earth.
And you know what? This movie does more to allow you that ultimately that is the suspension of disbelief. For all of these monster movies, the ultimate suspension of disbelief is that these monsters can even exist at all. Like, you have to accept the reality that, you know, there can be a Godzilla and a King Kong or whatever. You know, and a lot of the other movies, I feel like their arguments are stupid. Like, they come off as unbelievable.
Right.
And in this movie, it presents itself, I think, better. And the suspension of disbelief here is that not only do the monsters exist, but it's because of this hollow earth thing. And you just have to ignore the whole thing where it's like, you know, well, wouldn't the core of the earth really be really hot, and it's like a molten center? And it's like, nope, it actually is, just where they filmed Avatar. You know, it's like, it's just, it's this crazy place inside the earth. You know, with everything's going on.
And I have to say, like, I actually did enjoy those scenes. I thought that was really interesting to have Kong go back there.
And they were visually pretty cool.
And it was visually really cool because it was almost like a labyrinth style, where, like, not only was there this main level, but there was also like an inverted way of going too. And like, it was almost like you could go upside down. So like, gravity is
probably because, like, like at the center of the earth, this is up. You know, this is
depending on your perception,
right? This is ground level, but as you go around, it's all ground level,
right?
So it's it's like
I did think that was really interesting, and you go back to some of these almost like prehistoric, what do you want to call them, titans or creatures that were present, and that was actually really cool to see that, and you could see Kong starting to like feel that he was at home, almost being there.
Now, he got a great greeting by this one group of monsters that, like, they were like
almost like bats,
flying bats,
like giant
flying bat
like
snakes,
pterodactyls or snakes.
But they snake.
Yeah.
But it was really funny what one of them got him and like started to wrap his whole body around his neck to like.
But used
like
his whole wing.
But then used his wing.
Oh yeah.
And like the whole like leathery part of the underbelly
Just
of the wing
opens up.
and opens up and went over his head to like smother him. And
Yeah.
it, like you're sitting there going like, man, this is like right out of The Godfather. You know, this is like put the garrote and put the plastic bag over their head and smother them. I was like, wow, these guys are hardcore. Like that was actually kind of funny. We didn't mention King Kong and the Truman Show.
Oh, that's right.
Oh wait, to me the
We're gonna do a little sidebar back to the Skull Island.
yeah the beginning of the movie opens and to me is really really funny. It's basically like Kong like sitting down somewhere on Skull Island, but the verbiage on the screen says somewhere on Skull Island,
Yeah.
and it's like obviously any place on Skull Island is somewhere on Skull Island,
Right.
but it's like
Oh, Skull Island's not.
all you
I don't
had
think
all
that's
you
big
had
of
to
a
say
place.
was Skull Island, and people get it.
Right.
Somewhere on Skull Island. It's like opening up on someone who's in a room and going somewhere in that room.
Yeah.
You're in the room. You're on Skull Island.
Yeah.
It was.
Listen,
It was
me,
goofy.
Skull Island to me is not that big.
Yeah, but
So
you know
to,
what? I
like,
think it's bigger than you think. If you watch Kong Skull Island, it's pretty big. It's a big freaking island.
It is, but it isn't because it's like
I mean,
these guys are all congregated.
it's not as big as Australia. It's not like a
No,
continent, but
right.
but it's like
I think that's my take.
it's
on
not like
it.
Fire Island. It's not like a little tiny
No,
strip.
it's much.
You know,
Obviously, it's bigger
yeah.
than that. But so basically, the company, the evil company, and all this, they have put essentially
A dome.
a dome over Skull Island. Okay,
to me,
it completely
Yeah.
encapsulated it.
Yeah.
In the ridiculous like weather patterns that occur around there, they were able to accomplish this. With Kong and the other monsters that are on the island, didn't somehow interfere with them building it.
And I still don't know why anybody can't just smash it.
Well, he kind of does.
But like, why doesn't anybody just go to the perimeter and just punch a hole through it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Unless
Well,
there's
because
some sort of
the perimeter is
barrier.
making it believe as if they are still on.
Right, because the
if
whole
they're-
perimeter, like it's like a visual illusion of the sky
Yes.
and what's going on.
Yeah.
But Kong's smart.
Kong's he knows.
and he gets makes a spear out of a
ma-
tree.
yeah.
And he wails it up, and it smashes into the thing, and it breaks through it. And you see the image
Yeah,
of the
you
sky
see, like, the
fade.
pixels,
and you
like,
see
change.
that and it really looks like an enormous dome that they
Yeah.
used in the Truman Show.
And I'm
which is
just
really kind of funny.
I had a really hard time believing that
Yeah,
they could.
and
they
why?
Could, because that would have
and
taken
why? What was the point?
that would have taken years to build, years to put
Yeah.
that around that island
Yeah.
if they actually were able to construct it. Not to mention, and the same thing with the underground tunnel from San Francisco to Hong Kong. That would have taken years.
Right, but-
the technology to make all that. And we were talking about the
But
technology
what
before.
was the point of the dome? Like
I don't know.
Like Kong is on Skull Island,
They're not
and
leaving.
he can't fly off.
They're not leaving.
So let's
No matter- any of the
build a
animals
whole
and creatures.
dome that replicates the sky. And what? Like I don't know.
I don't know if it
I
was
didn't know what
just-
the point was.
I don't know if it was
And
just
seemed
allow
like,
them to
it seemed
somehow
like a
study them.
lot of money to spend on something.
Well, that's just it.
that is really dubious in intent and purpose.
But to make, I can't even imagine the cost to make the dome alone, and then to do the subterranean bullet train from San Francisco to Hong Kong. How much money does this company have
Yeah.
that they can spend this much? Like those two projects alone, I can't even imagine the trillions of dollars it would have cost to make all that stuff.
Yeah, like, just drill a hole across the ocean. Just so we can move stuff back and forth.
Yeah, that to me was crazy. But then we were talking about the technology, and
You would think the security on something like that would be enormous.
Oh,
but
it would be.
But apparently not.
and the company in this time and the transports that they have are like these anti-gravity transports that they've made that can fly into the hollow earth and not succumb to the huge gravitational change that occurs when they go through it.
Yeah.
And you're looking at these crafts, and it's like that's like true futuristic stuff. It's not present day.
This is stuff that you like see like Mr. Fantastic building in Fantastic
Yeah.
Four movies. Like just like oh, it's like.
I mean, it's essentially a hovercraft.
Yeah.
For the most part. But I mean, I really thought that you had to kind of really just like, all right, I'll let you get away with that one.
Yeah, they got some good stuff going on.
And then so Kong eventually starts to basically find his people, kind of like where like.
He didn't find any of his people.
I thought he found it when they went into the temple. When he went into that main temple.
Yeah, but there was no other apes.
But there was the presence of definitely apes. Like there was that paw, the handprint was on there.
Oh yeah, but like
know?
I mean, I think he found remnants of the
He
past.
found remnants.
But like
yes.
like
not,
I was
not live.
Yeah, like he didn't like he's home,
not live
but
specimens.
like again, like I mean, is he the last of his species? I don't know. But like I said, they make it sound like these monsters have been around for thousands and thousands
But
of years.
if when you watch Kong Skull Island, there are his ancestors' bones there. But you definitely saw bones. Did you see bones in this one?
I think you do.
Right?
But it's just weird that I mean, are they individual creatures, or are they part of families, or are they part of species? Because the implication is that Kong has actually lived for thousands of years, and Godzilla,
Right.
all these monsters,
These titans have lived.
like the actual individuals themselves, have lived for thousands of years. And it's
Yeah.
like, all right, well, if they have kids, are they going to live for thousands of years? Well, nobody's even having any kids because there isn't even two of the same kind that could
Right, they can actually do it.
Right, so like you kill one off, and I think they go extinct, and it's like, where are Kong's parents, or it's just weird. It's just, I even thinking like in the original, Godzilla monster movies, I don't think that those monsters were around forever,
For that long.
like for that long. And oddly enough, in the original Godzilla movies, there's more than one Godzilla. It's not the same Godzilla. There's Godzillas get killed, and there's other ones that take the place. It's assumed like they're either a sibling
Right.
or the same species. Because in the original Godzilla movie, the original Godzilla dies, and they talk about how there may be another one someday. Well, there was a
Of
sequel.
course there
There was
was.
another one, but it's not the same Godzilla. Go figure.
But and so when we get to this point, now Godzilla has made his way to Hong Kong, starts trashing the city little by little, and one of the most unbelievable things happens in this film. He uses his atomic breath to drill through the Earth's crust and go
All the way
down
to
into
the
the
hollow
hollow
Earth.
Earth. Makes it all the way down. And we're talking a singular tunnel from the surface of the Earth all the way down through hollow Earth. And Kong can basically look up and see Godzilla and be like, hey. And ends up making his way up the hole. And then the battle ensues.
Yeah.
And because at some point, because here's the thing, because when they go into
How do we
Antarctica,
get Kong from Hollow Earth
that was
Hong
it.
Kong?
Because when they go to Antarctica and they go into Hollow Earth, and I'm like, wow, how they have to get him out back into Antarctica and then transport him all the way to Hong Kong. I'm like, how are they going to do?
Well,
all
the
that?
good thing is from the Hollow Earth, you can go in from Antarctica, but you can go out that way and go to Hong Kong because everything is
no, and that to me makes sense.
Right.
But not knowing that was going to happen,
Right.
I'm like, well, they got to go out the way they came.
right. You almost got to sit and say like, man, how are they gonna? What are they gonna do? How are they gonna do this?
And this is Hollywood, so guess what? We're going to drill a giant hole in the ground. And I'm
Yep.
sorry, I don't know that Godzilla's atomic breath could drill a hole like that, like it's freaking the movie Armageddon, and drill all the way down into Hollow Earth
Yeah.
and make that happen.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So I have an issue with that. I know it's a monster movie, and I know we're overthinking all this, but that killed me. But nevertheless, that enables us to get the battle that we've
Right.
been waiting for,
Right.
and we see Godzilla and we see Kong go at it in the city of Hong Kong, which gets
Demolished.
leveled.
I mean, we're talking like
I don't think there was a building
we're talking
standing.
like Superman versus Zod, like
Times 10.
just. I mean, it's funny too because a lot of people like they show a lot of people like going to the underground, and not for nothing. Wherever they're going underground, they're going
I
to get
forgot
killed.
this. They had
Underground-
bomb shelters.
Titan bunkers.
Titan bunkers. They had Titan bunkers that they went into.
And
It's
I
like,
think they would have filled up pretty fast.
how is it that we're talking from the 2014 Godzilla to this film? And Godzilla didn't happen in Japan. Godzilla, that movie Godzilla happened, I believe, in like San Francisco. Like like he came here. He didn't fight over in Japan and Hong Kong. They have these Titan bunkers.
Every city have Titan bunkers?
They must.
Because you don't know where they're going to fight.
Because it just seems to be. It just ridiculous. Convenience after convenience. And it's like, these are things that I'm like, I just can't see these cities building these things in the time that they built them.
But then they have, so they have a lot of people like going down to the bunkers. But then, they just show a lot of people just watching the fight from
wherever they
from
are.
the 50th story of a building.
Which I really don't know if there was a building standing at the end of this fight.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny too because the lights were on in those buildings for most of the time. It's just when you knock the building out, that light went out.
Oh well.
but the building next door had all sorts of great. Because I tell you, Hong Kong looked like a fun place. It was like
a lot of neon, like crazy lights.
All these lights go. But man, I mean, you're sitting there going like, oh man, there's like another couple of thousand people that just got wiped out.
But I will say this: it was a great fight scene. Like,
yeah,
I did enjoy that.
Well,
I thought it was an interesting fight.
And basically, for people that sit there and say, how can King Kong even stand up against Godzilla? Because they're both really strong. We get that. But Godzilla's got that atomic breath, and Kong, Kong's got a lot of hair. Like he's gonna burn, man. His whole body's gonna go up in flames. So like he's a walking newspaper. You know what I'm saying? So what do they got for him? Well, he can move out of the way and all that. But he gets this axe that is, I don't know,
from
powered.
his people. Yeah.
This act it really is like, it's not just like a weapon made of metal. It's like it's got
charged almost.
It's charged. It's got it's like a weapon of
energy.
Power. I feel like it was like one of those weapons that was created by the people that made Mjolnir. Wouldn't be surprised if they got a count with those people. But it's like he uses that like the block
to block the blast.
And he's got this this really kick-ass weapon, I guess. But it
was cool
it was unexpected. Like I wasn't expecting to see him walking around with this axe,
him wielding it.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. So,
but the battle ends up with Kong on his back. Godzilla puts his foot on his chest and basically almost like suffocates him. Like puts so much pressure on him that I think it puts him into cardiac arrest.
Yeah, it really messed him up.
And then he's only able to come back because they end up doing that whole electric.
They used it right. Okay, so the guy. This is a great.
Here we go.
He parks. It's okay. It's like we're just going to figure out the electrical discharge from this machine. Who's going to use it, to pump Soda's heart. I was like, okay, I'll accept that. So the guy parks it on his chest, and it's gonna happen really soon.
Yeah.
And then you just cut to the guy who parked it there, running away from Kong. I'm like, yeah, how did you get out of the ship and climb down his body and
get off his body and get away?
Like, I'm just like, oh, someone's like, look, someone's got to put it there. Just
make it happen.
Just get him off. Just get him off. He's on there. And then he leaves.
But
how does he go? Don't show that. Just show him leaving.
I think, but it's so funny. Like the way you say it is exactly how I picture it in my head. That they had the board meeting. Yeah. So what are you gonna do here? No. Just show him. Just show him running away. We don't need to see him getting off.
I don't have time to figure out how he gets off Kong, and we're not going to waste time showing it. Just people will fill in the blanks, and I'm filling in the going like. I don't know. I don't know. Tarzan swing, I don't know.
It's left up to your imagination.
Yeah, and it does drive me insane sometimes because I know that most people sitting in the movie theater aren't even questioning it.
No,
they're just just blindly.
And again, it's not that there's anything wrong with that. That's exactly what it is. It's mindless entertainment.
And but film studios can get away with this because they know how lazy and stupid the common moviegoer is, who is non-discriminating, has turned their brains off completely. Even if their brain is turned on, it's not a bright light to begin with anyway, most likely. And it's just, like they can just, you can just do whatever you want because you need to, and that's it. We got to make this film, and that's it. And like they literally say, people aren't going to care. People aren't going to notice. Not enough people are going to notice. 1% of the people are going to notice. We don't care about them. They don't care about us. We're the 1% who sit there and go, "What the hell's going? Are you kidding me?"
We're just spending the money, and again, it's about spending disbelief, and sometimes you carry it on a little bit too much.
Right, and in a lot of these other movies that I really found hard to watch, there was way too much to suspend, and I think this movie had a lot of that too.
Yes.
But the movie was so enjoyable, you forgot about that. And the other movies were not as enjoyable. So the things that you couldn't forget were more annoying. And it detracted from the film. Because at the end of the day, they're all 2.5 star movies at best. But some of them are more enjoyable than others.
No, I agree with that.
It was just more enjoyable.
I think this was, overall it was an enjoyable film. And, and eventually we get Kong comes back to life. So when you get Godzilla fighting Mechagodzilla, and of course Mechagodzilla's getting the upper hand on Godzilla, so of course we got to bring Kong back to life.
Because nothing, Mechagodzilla is really
strong.
Is really tough.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
and he starts getting the upper hand on Godzilla.
Yeah, like 1-on-1, any of those against Mechagodzilla, I think they're losing.
I think so too, and I think that's what they were really showing that. And then of course Godzilla comes back. And I was it the little girl? Like someone was telling him to what did she say? Like the girl signed him something like work with him, like help him.
Oh, no, he is not your enemy.
He is not your enemy. That's what she said. Yeah,
Mechagodzilla is the true enemy.
Right.
Because ultimately that was
that's true.
That was what Godzilla was keying on.
Was Mechagodzilla the whole time?
And why? I was sitting there like, why would he even know that they were building a robot? But he probably sensed Ghidorah,
yeah.
Because without that, it's like
they're building a robot.
They're building a robot.
Right.
Like,
why would he know?
How would he even know? Like, how would he even sense that? But yeah, I was thinking about that now. The fact that Ghidorah's skull was involved in that, that's probably what he was keying on.
Yeah. But listen, at the end of the day, the two of them beat down Mechagodzilla, which was actually it was awesome when Kong takes up the axe and starts chopping off limbs on Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, dissected him.
That was great. Mm-hmm. And then Godzilla got his licks in as well. And I enjoyed the fight scenes. Every fight scene that we saw, from the beginning fight scene on the boats to the fight scene in Hong Kong to that fight scene at the end.
Yeah, I was going to say there were 3 fight scenes: the boat, King Kong vs. Godzilla, Hong Kong,
Part 2.
King Kong vs. Godzilla,
and then the final
in Hong Kong, both of them versus Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, and I think all those fight scenes I really enjoyed. I really did. And of course at the end of the film, everybody gets reunited. Everyone's okay. Right,
but if you had to say who won the fight between King Kong versus Godzilla, I think Godzilla
won that fight.
And in the original Japanese version, King Kong vs. Godzilla, I think King Kong wins. Believe it or not.
Really?
I think so. I think King Kong wins.
I wonder if that's why. Was that King Kong vs. Godzilla or Kong? Or
that was the name of that movie was King Kong vs. Godzilla.
So this is flipped.
Well, okay, it was King Kong vs. Godzilla in America. God knows what it was called in Japan.
Okay, so they flipped it here, Kong versus.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Godzilla versus
Kong. That I think that made sense.
Yeah. Well, just because of how they prefaced those other films, where it was just Godzilla and then it was Kong, Skull Island. So I get that.
But I'll be honest with you. I think this Godzilla is really tough and tougher than some of the earlier Godzilla movie incarnations. But yeah, no, I think Godzilla wins, because Godzilla won. Yeah, but you know what they said? They say Godzilla won round 1.
Absolutely.
But then didn't they say King Kong won round 2? King Kong put a beat down on Godzilla at some point.
Did he?
I felt like round 2 went to King Kong, but I think round 3 went to Godzilla, and then they teamed up because Kong wasn't beat throughout the whole movie.
No, when did they have that portion of the
I don't
fight?
remember.
I can't remember either.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember going, okay, Kong got a little payback here.
Yeah.
Kong got a little payback somewhere. But then towards the end, Godzilla like really took Kong out. But they joined forces and they take out Mechagodzilla in true fashion. And again, it's just more wanton destruction that just
just levels the
just
city.
completely levels the city.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about that much about the little girl
Who did the sign
who
language?
did the sign language. Who I actually liked her character, and I liked her dynamic with her mother, played by Rebecca Hall. She's if you've ever seen the movie The Town, she was like the love interest of
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck in The Town.
Yep.
And I like her as an actress. And this little girl was I enjoyed her character and the part she played in the film. There were a couple of things about what she did which didn't seem really plausible, because there's at one point where she's sitting in the beginning when King Kong is on the ship,
aircraft carrier. Yeah.
And she's sitting in her cabin, and she puts her hand against the wall, and she knows that Godzilla's coming, even before the radars pick up Godzilla's coming. And now another thing, like at that moment, Godzilla's really far away. Like he's not like right up against the ship. Like he's coming.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there and it's like, okay, the girl doesn't have ESP. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think she does. Now you can say that because she's
hearing impaired.
Because she's deaf,
Yeah.
her other senses are heightened.
Right.
But like
to that degree?
to that degree?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know either.
It played well in the movie.
And listen,
I just don't know that it really made much sense.
Me,
it was a little unbelievable.
It's a split-second scene. It's not a big thing. It doesn't happen again. And it's almost like as soon as she discovers it and she's running out of her cabin to go find her mother, then all of a sudden, like the alarms go. Like she finds her mom in a panic, and she starts as soon as she starts to tell her mom that Godzilla's coming, all of a sudden the alarms in the ship go off.
Yeah.
So like she definitely detects it before anybody else.
Which is crazy.
Which, I don't know. Could she have like felt through the ship like Kong in his distress?
I don't know, because the vibration of Godzilla that far away in the water, carrying through, and then hitting the ship, and then carrying through the ship to the point where you would feel some sort of vibration in a wall in the middle of the ship somewhere. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that either. I do agree with you on that. Listen,
could have been a kraken, could have been a blue whale.
I think all of it does, it just shows that the girl's special, and
whether it makes sense or not.
Right.
Hey, and you know what? In the original Japanese versions, we had to deal with the two little, women from whatever island, from Mothra Island. The two like Mothra. It's just like, all right, like we would, you'd accept the fact that there's these two tiny little bitty women in hula skirts that can speak to Mothra. It's just like, okay, whatever. So. A lot of suspension of disbelief in all these places.
Look, overall, I'm going to say that I did enjoy the film. I enjoyed this more than Kong Skull Island. I definitely enjoyed this more than Godzilla King of the Monsters. I'm going to say that I think I enjoyed the 2014 Godzilla more than this.
See, I think I enjoyed this more, even though the Godzilla 2014 might have been a slightly better movie.
I definitely think it was a better movie.
Yeah.
The only thing that might put this film above the 2014 film for me is the fact that the fight scenes were really good. Like I enjoyed the fight scene in this more so than any of the other films.
I'll be honest with you. I've only seen the Godzilla 2014 movie once, and I really need to see it again.
I think it's worth.
I think that's one of the few movies that deserves a repeat viewing because you'll pick up on things more. Whereas
Yep.
I think Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and this one, you see it the first time, you get it all. You didn't miss anything. It's all there.
Yeah.
There's not much depth to it.
Yeah.
There is some depth to that one.
I agree. I think so too, and that's why that one might edge out this film to me. But this film by far definitely has, I think, the better fight scenes and two iconic titans that go at it.
But yeah, and to be honest with you, I don't know that I knew Mechagodzilla was going to be in this movie at all. I thought it was literally the
Oh, I had a feeling it was going to be. I had a feeling it was going to be more than just the two of those titans, and I told you that as the movie was starting.
Yeah.
And I swear to you that I did not for sure know that he was going to be in this film, but I knew that I said they've got to fight someone together, and the only thing I could have thought of was Mechagodzilla.
Now they did do something really odd in the opening credits, and I'm only going to be able to watch this if I freeze frame it at a later date. They had these things where, like, 4 lines of words would show up, and you couldn't read it really fast, but all of a sudden, like, either half or 3/4 of the words would be blanked out, and then you'd be left with the credit, music by so and so. But what was blanked out was words. It wasn't just random scribbling. It wasn't just random letters and numbers.
Yeah.
It was saying
It's
something.
redacted.
Yeah, but it's like no matter what you did, you couldn't see it fast enough to read what was being blocked out.
You definitely had voiceover from John Goodman.
Oh yeah, you were
In
telling
this
me
film,
about that.
there was definitely voiceover for him at one point during the film when they're talking about Skull Island. There's a voice recording from that film.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was original, like they made it for this film, or if it was a line from Kong Skull Island that they pulled into this. That I don't know. But I know his voice was in this. I don't know if Samuel L. Jackson was his voice was in this or not. But I like that there was, again, going back to continuity, and that we're seeing some type of continuity in these monster films. I appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just they gotta put a little bit of investment in it and make more films and tie them all together.
But we don't know if they're going to make more films because at the end of this, there wasn't some type of like extra credit scene, right? There was nothing. There was nothing after the credits.
So we wait. Standard scenario. Movie's over in some people's minds. Credits start rolling. Movie's not over, but some people and almost everybody gets up to leave, and I'm just sitting there going like, in this day and age, there are so many movies that have Easter eggs in the middle of the credits at the end. Like who? I don't know that anybody can claim ignorance and say, "Oh, I didn't know," or I didn't know something was going to happen. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, but you know what they can do though nowadays, which they couldn't have done years ago? They can go on YouTube and they can look it up and it'll play it for them.
Yeah, but you think they're actually doing that? You think they're leaving the movie early just so they can
Yes.
YouTube the Easter egg later?
Absolutely.
Oh, I never even considered that. That's just
Because they don't want to stick around and watch the
that's
credits.
such a dastardly plot to not enjoy the credits.
Well, I think it's a waste to the people that made this film. I do agree with you.
Yeah.
But we don't know if there's
Interesting.
anything on the horizon.
Yeah. There was no Easter eggs and nothing like leading to the next film.
As far as I know, this film has been a success. It's been the highest grossing film of 2021. I think it might be.
Oh, really?
I think it might be
Oh, wait,
one
it's
of the
2021. We just
2021.
started.
And I think it's actually one of the largest opening weekends dating back to March of last year since the pandemic.
Wow, so it made more
It's
money
the-
than Wonder Woman.
Yes.
That says a lot.
Yes.
Well,
So-
it doesn't say.
Well, because they had a huge market in Japan. I mean,
Okay,
over in
so
China.
worldwide.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
China had a huge. One of the reasons why it did so good worldwide is because of China. It had a huge opening there.
I almost want to say, it's it just speaks to how much of a letdown the second
Wonder Woman 84 was, yeah.
I was like, oh.
But so, listen. Overall, if you like monster films, if you have enjoyed Kong or Godzilla individually in the past, this is a film to watch.
Yeah.
Go see this film. Go see it in the theater. If you're comfortable enough to go see it in the theater, go see it in the theater. We highly recommend doing that. I think this is a perfect venue to watch these two giants go at it, rather than watching it on your TV in your living room. If you're not comfortable with that due to COVID and with everything going on, if you're not vaccinated, then watch it at home. But at least give it a shot and watch it, I would say. I think ultimately, if you are into those monster type films or kaiju films, you'll enjoy this.
And oddly enough, I would say the only 4-star films, or as close to 4 stars as you could get with these types of films, that you could actually say would be the very first King Kong movie and the very first Godzilla movie. Very first King Kong movie is a 4-star movie. Very first Godzilla movie, released in Japan, Godzilla. It could be 4 stars. It's a minimum 3.5. Might be 4.
Okay.
So King Kong vs. Godzilla.
So guys, listen. With that, I think we're going to leave you guys.
Yeah.
We do want to go see.
Yeah.
We want to see.
I want to see nobody.
We want to see nobody. We got to see Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul. Better Call Nobody.
Better Call Nobody. Definitely want to go see that.
To me, that's
it's the Taken.
It's Taken. It's
the John Wick.
Yeah.
Style,
it's like the older guy that kicks butt. That was really made into a thing. By what's his face and Taken?
By Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson, yeah.
I mean, that's really become a genre in and of itself over the last decade, where these other actors have kind of taken on those style roles and kick some major butt. And they're enjoyable.
They're fun.
John Wick is great to watch.
Obviously, a lot of suspension and disbelief there, but that's okay.
And that's okay. I want to. This is a movie that I'm going to go in. I'm going to turn my brain off, and I just want to enjoy. I want to see this guy kick some butt.
I want to see Saul kick butt. I can't remember his real name.
It's something with an O.
Bob Odenkirk.
That's it. There we go.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't know what else is coming out.
Mortal Kombat's also coming out this month.
Oh, I know you want to see that.
I will watch that.
And I'll tell you right now, if you want to go to the movies and see it, I'll see it, because it does. Even though I'm assuming Mortal Kombat
not your thing.
Was it a home video game, or was it an arcade video game? Or
it
both?
started as an arcade and then went to home.
Okay, I never played any of those games, but I've seen enough previews.
Now you didn't see the original Mortal Kombat in the late '90s, right?
No, I did not.
Yeah, there was a Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh,
yeah.
So
it
looks fun enough to make it worthwhile to see. Is Black Widow coming out in the theater?
So Black Widow is coming out in the theater.
I want to see that.
Black Widow got delayed again to I think July.
Okay.
But it's going to be simultaneous Disney Plus with their premiere package, which means you pay $30 to watch it.
Right.
Or you can go see it in the theater. So they are doing simultaneous.
I'm going in the theater.
And we're going to go see it in the theater.
Yeah. So
but those are the real big ones that I can think of right now. There are some other films that are coming out, I think, in May and June. Off the top of my head, I can't think of them, but I know there are some coming out.
Okay.
But the ones on the horizon, if we go see Nobody...
we do have some stuff coming up, and if it turns out that we, don't get to see a new movie,
maybe we'll go see Nobody this weekend, though.
Yeah, we could always do some sort of retro review if we need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I do. You know what? We did a review of the original Justice League. We did a review of the Zack Snyder Justice League, but there's a Zack Snyder Justice League in black and white, which I haven't seen, and I want to see that, and I want to do a review of that, even though it might be small, just for laughs, just for laughs. But okay.
So guys, with that, thank you guys so much for watching and or listening and joining us again for another review. Guys, please remember, subscribe, like, share these videos. Give us some comments, ask us questions, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we will join you guys again at the movie soon.
For episode 40.
Next one will be 45.
45.
Almost getting close to 50.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.